Okay, so just an update on the mortgage that I've been doing. Everybody knows I've been doing my mortgage. Everybody that's been following me and watching what I've been doing, and a few other people as well. So basically, made a claim to the police about the police, what they did and how wrong it was, with no lawful paperwork. There wasn't any paperwork. There's never been a court hearing. That was actually recorded as a court hearing under Statute 135 of the 1984 County Courts Act. There was no court at all. And what has come to light is that two friends of mine, in 2024, was it 23? 23, went in front of a judge called Griffiths. Two different times, and both sat when they got into the court. Sorry, I'll start again. So when they got into the court, each individual time that they got in there, the judge, which was called Richard Lloyd Griffiths, was, when I asked them how old he was, they said he was about 40 years old, maybe a bit more. So the apparent judge that I went in front of under the false court hearing was at least 60, no hair, and a goatee beard. He's at least that. The guy that they went in front of was about 40-ish, and he had brown hair. And I said, full head of hair? And they said, yeah, he had a full head of hair, brown hair with a brown beard. So who is sat in front of Richard Lloyd Griffiths, or are the Barnstable County Court using Richard Lloyd Griffiths and just using anybody to sit in on that case? If you go onto the ChatGPT and ask that who Richard Lloyd Griffiths is, it will tell you it's a guy who was 45 at the time, and he'd been appointed in 2017. So obviously the guy couldn't have been 60 years old with no hair and a goatee beard. So that was probably Lloyd's Bank putting in their own guy. And that's why that court hearing never, on paper, ever existed. And they lied. So they've all colluded on that. So I've asked for an ID parade. I demand an ID parade with these judges, or whoever they are. But that probably will never happen, because that's never going to happen, because they're just going to that's going to show them through who they really are. And we know they're corrupt. We know the English police are absolutely tyrannical. They work for a tyrannical government. The Mr. thing, like, you tell them about the Mr. and how it puts you into a subordinate position, but they continue it. They continue it and continue it. And I said, don't call me Mr. I ain't no Mr. I'm full : Justin, full : Dawn. But when you get anything back from them, the word email means no mail, by the way. So the E is in negative state condition and makes it no mail. So it has to be done through the postal service, which is what they're trying to stop. So they created the cloud, because we're going into Aquarius and we're coming out of water, Pisces, where there's vessels, and it's all to do with that. But we are a vessel in a sea of space, so the post office should continue to work. But they want to do it digital. And that is where it's going to screw everything right up. Because everything has gone corporate. There is no law. As far as I'm concerned, if I can't get a case in a court and I'm the claimant, there is no law. They refuse to file my paperwork, which is misappropriations. When you take pay to do a job and you don't do it, you've misappropriated your paycheck. Therefore, that's a year in jail, or prison, whatever they call it. It's jail, really. And it's a £5,000 fine. So they're all sticking together and they're all coming up with just garbage. The High Court, well, I haven't got a lot to say about that. That's any good, really. They stole my money. They took money off of me to file a fee. The file fee was stolen, and then they said, no, you have to get a solicitor. Well, what solicitor can do quantum? None, because there aren't any. So therefore, they don't want me being the judge, because literally I can take over their court as well, and they know it. But anyway, less of that. When they took my house, and it's still my house, they stole it. When they sold it, and they have sold it now, they sold it on what they said was an auction. You can always tell when something's been stolen because they always sell it for half price. They do it all the time. Thieves will go and steal stuff and they'll sell it for half price or even less. So they sold the house for half its value. So you can see who these people actually are. I mean, they can't do anything correct. There are no courts in this country, in our country. There's none in England at all. They're not courts. They can't file paperwork correctly. They can't put a stamp on paperwork. They won't put their name on the paperwork. They write in italics. They put everything in a box, which removes it. It's total necromancy. It's all low key, which I keep telling people. It's low key. Loki's at it again. Who's Loki? Loki's Rome. He represents Rome. The Rome statutes of Rome. And that's what you're fighting. And I'm afraid when they own that foreign vessel in dry dock, you ain't getting in. That's how they're charging you council tax, because it's not native to the land, and they say they own all the land. And I've said this before. 1213. If 1213 was ever a year where anything ever did happen, which I don't know it ever did, being a matrix, a deal was done with the supposed King John with Pope Innocent III, who made him King of Kings, and he gave the church all the land in the country. Therefore, anything built with foot foundations on this land is there taxable. So they charge you a tax for it. Because they've made you a citizen. People are out there and they're going, yeah, I'm a citizen, I'm a citizen, I'm a citizen. You see it all the time. If you're a citizen, citizenship, you are on their vessel. If you're on their vessel, you're a subject. If you're a subject, you're beneath. Therefore, you become a Mr. or a Mrs. or a Ms. Whichever one you like. They're all subordinate name titles. They're not allowed to give you a title. That's why the dead can't talk to the living. And I'm trying to talk to the dead. And I am living. And they know that because I'm a fact. My name's a fact. I copyrighted it to myself, which they don't like either. Or I should just say either. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, so I've had my claim to the police and the investigation, which has taken them over 18 months to come back and say, no, everything was all right. When the leading PS, police sergeant, I guess that stands for, PS Kid, has left the police force and they don't know where he is. Try North Moton. Because I see him running around Heasley Mill. So, don't tell me you don't know where he is when I do. So I want this judge. I want this ID parade. And I want an ID parade because I got 2 witnesses that will come in there and say that Judge Griffiths is not the same judge that I had sat in that room. It might have been a courtroom, but there was no correct paperwork. And they know there wasn't. So, the claim has to go to I have to appeal my claim because Nathan Walker, temporary inspector Nathan Walker, is perverting the course of justice and he's in collusion with the rest of them. When I say the rest of them, I mean the judiciary, all the government, the Ministry of Justice, the High Court, all of them. The whole lot are all in this together and they're all controlled by Lloyds Bank. And it is Lloyds Bank controlling the whole system. But anyway, it's all corporate. Lloyd's Bank are coming to steal all of your houses as well. They're going to steal the lot. Sorry, but that's what's going to happen. They're going to take the lot off of you if we let them get away with it. We need to hold our own courts, and we need to get rid of the police. The police, break it down. P-O-L-I-C-E. Policy. Policy. That's all they are. They're working for policy. They're working for a tyrannical government. But they've become tyrannical again against us, the people, the real living flesh blood people on this land. I remember Clinton turning around and going, if you pay your taxes and you're a good citizen, you won't have to have any problem or nothing. You can just go about your life and it'll all be fine because you're a good citizen, because you're a good little worker on their ship. The fuck do they think they are? Who do they think they are? Huh? They've made up a load of legislation and legalese, and they think they've got law. And Starmer, as for Starmer, I mean, he's just doing what he's told, and so's Reeves. But, I mean, if they're not, that's total communists. And everybody knows you're a communist. And it's about time you jumped ship. Get off our vessel. This country is an island. It's surrounded by water. This is where living people live. God's people. Or the Creator's people. And you know it. And that's why you're coming down on the white race so much. Because you know what's going to happen. If you don't. Chaos is coming. But it's only to get into Aquarius. That's it. So, they're causing all the crap, but it's going to get worse. It'll get worse and worse and worse. What'll happen is anyone's guess, but I should imagine there will be. I mean, we don't want riots and we don't need all that, but they're provoking it. They're provoking it so that you go and do that, so that they can put an Afghan army on our streets, perhaps. That's what it looks like, doesn't it? They're everywhere now. They've brought them in here all over the place. If you went to their country and started doing that, it'd be war. They'd slit all your throats. But the police are protecting them. And the reason the police are protecting these people is because they're being paid to do so. The police are up for hire. Anyone can hire the police. I dare say I probably couldn't now, even if I did have the money. But that's what happens. The police are now a private company. And of course, if you want one to stand at your door all day, you can go and pay whatever it costs. And they'll have a policeman at your door stood there all day. That's how it works. There you go.